Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I now call this meeting of the Brevard County Board of Zoning Adjustment for January 15th, 2025 to order. Do we have any staff announcements?
Yes, I'd like to introduce everybody to Trina Gillum. She is now the zoning manager, interim zoning manager. Jeffrey Ball has left us. So can you stand up so everybody can see you and give her a hand?
Welcome. Okay. It's our first meeting of the year, and that is a time when we elect new officers. I've been vice chairman, chairman for the last 4 years, and I'm passing the torch to anyone that wants to stand up and volunteer. But we go through a process of nominations. So do I hear any nominations for chairman, chairperson?
Yes.
Sonia.
I nominate Sonia, please, as chairperson. Do we have a second?
I second.
Do we have a second?
I second.
Okay. We have a nomination by Dr. Bass of Sonia Millard. We have a second by Jennifer?
Yes.
Yeah, by Ms. Clemens. I don't think we have discussion for that. We just go ahead and have a vote. Are there any other nominations? Very well. Hearing none, we'll close the nominations, and we will call for the vote. All in favor of Ms. Sonia Millard being the chairman of the board for the rest of this year, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Then we pass the gavel to Ms. Millard, our new chairperson. I don't think we have an actual gavel to pass, but there used to be one up here.
So you can slide down.
Yes.
Get one. Thank you. Okay.
There you go.
Do we vote for vice chair now?
Now you take nominations for vice chair.
Okay. Well, thank you for that selection. I'm honored. Now we would like to make a selection for vice chair. Any nominees for vice chair? I'd like to nominate Mr. Bill Huffman. Oh, no.
I must decline.
I'd like to nominate Stephen Humberg for vice chair. Can I get a second?
I can second that.
I'll second it.
Any other nominations?
Any other nominations? Can we make a vote? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Vice Chair, Mr. Humberg.
Thank you.
You welcome.
I think.
He thinks.
Okay. Now we would like to call to order our first reading, the function of the board by Mr. Bodie, please.
Yes, Ms. Chairman. The Board of Adjustment is a quasi-judicial body established by the Board of County Commissioners under Chapter 62, Article 2, Division 4 of the Brevard County Code. The Board of Adjustment is empowered to hear requests for variances to the zoning regulation and the sign regulation in Chapter 62, Article 6, and Article 9. Pursuant to the Florida Rules of Appellate Procedure, any person or persons jointly or severally aggrieved by any decision of the Board of Adjustment may, within 30 days after the date the order is signed, apply to a court of competent jurisdiction for appropriate relief. Ms. Chairman, you have 2 items on your agenda today.
Thank you. Second reading, please, Dr. Bass. Undue hardship?
Yes. Okay. A variance may be granted when it will not be contrary to the public interest and where, owing to special conditions, a literal enforcement of the provisions of this chapter will result in unnecessary and undue hardship. The term undue hardship has a specific legal definition in this context and essentially means that without the requested variance, the applicant will have no reasonable use of the subject property under existing development regulations. Personal medical reasons shall not be considered as grounds for establishing undue hardship sufficient to qualify an applicant for a variance. Economic reasons may be considered only in instances where the landowner cannot yield a reasonable use and/or a reasonable return under existing land development regulations. The applicant must answer the variance hardship worksheet with 6 questions. The Board of Adjustment will discuss these questions today with each applicant who has requested a variance.
Thank you, Dr. Bass. Now we would have the reading of the third reading of board procedures. Once all board members have completed their questioning, we will then open the floor to the audience who may be here to speak concerning the applicant's application. Anyone from the audience wishing to speak will be given the opportunity to address the board only once. At the conclusion of public comment, the applicant will be given additional time for rebuttal, as well to present their final comments. Once completed, no further comments will be heard from the applicant or the public. The action then moves to the board for discussion and action. We will not use a timer for this meeting. Instead, we're asking each speaker to be concise in what you have to say. It's important that you stay on the subject and avoid information that's not relevant. All persons speaking must provide their name and address for the public record. Those wishing not to verbally state their address may ask the clerk at the podium for an address card. Please fill it out and return to the clerk. I will now address the board members, the applicants in our audience regarding the board procedures for today's hearing that we just done. Now we will have the reading of the application by Mr. Bodie, please.
Yes, item H1, Boggs Family December 17, 2019 Trust. Request variance of Chapter 62, Article 6, Brevard County Code as follows. Variance number 1, Section 62-1345A to permit a variance of 10 feet from the required 20-foot front setback for a principal structure. And variance item number 2 is Section 62-2100.51D to permit a variance of 980 square feet over the 50%, 897 square feet permitted for an accessory structure in an RU-1-11 single-family residential zoning classification, and this is located at tax account number 2300362 in District 1. Also, this item was heard and it was continued from the September 18th, 2024 BOA meeting.
Okay, and before I ask the applicant to come up, we must do the meeting minutes approval, correct? Are there any additions or corrections? And is there a motion to approve?
I'll make the motion to approve.
I'll second it.
Okay, Dr. Bass has made a motion to approve. The second has been,
Mr. Huffman.
Mr. Hoffman.
all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Minutes are approved. Will the applicant please step forward to the podium? Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, congratulations.
Thank you. Will the applicant please state your name and address for the record, raising your right hand? Do you swear and affirm that the evidence you're about to give to this Board of Adjustment is the truth?
Yes.
Thank you. Please speak into the mic. How
Yes,
may
I
we
do.
help you today?
Well, I'm back for the continuance. I did resubmit the plans with the garage and the home separate. And I hope everybody got that to look at and make sure that was okay. You had a question last time about the layout of the way everything was. And I did have some more, they're almost like a 3D photos kind of put together. Because I know from just drawings, it's a little tougher to see exactly what everything looks like. So if you'd like to take a look, No.
Okay, yes.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
That gives you a better idea of what the space.
We need to get a copy of that also for our,
Actually,
Fine.
you can have that, so.
Okay. Okay, you may continue.
So, there are a couple new faces here that
Yes.
weren't here last time. But, as I said, what we're looking to do was add the garage space to the house. And there's 2 bays for the garage, but within the covered roof, it encompassed not just those 2 bays for the garage, but all across the back of the not the dwelling, but the under roof there. It shows on the pictures for a veranda, outside patio, whatever you want to call it, that goes from one side to the other. Where we sit, it views the launches and everything. A lot of times we get family and friends and stuff over to watch, so we wanted to set that up to have that space in the back to enjoy that also, on top of me being able to work on a couple cars in our garage, store my wife's and work on one for me. And then we made I had to compromise. It's a workshop, craft shop area in the garage, and then a storage space within it, because our storage now is overhead in the attic. We're getting a little older, so I don't want to get up in the attic anymore. So what we've done is added a room to be able to get into from outside for coolers and kayak paddles and stuff like that, and then from the inside for the Christmas decorations, Valentine, everything my wife has to put on shelves and everything, so I don't have to go up and down a ladder. So it does encompass a little bit more than just a garage, but it is, I guess because of the size of it that what we were trying to accomplish is, it has to deal with the whole variance issue, so.
Correct. Well, this is for District 1. I cover District 1. So I'd just like to say, I remember from previously when we discussed, and looking at it, I see now the layout clearly, your garage area, the storage room, the shop area. And looking back at the pictures that you just brought in today, clearly, let me pass it down to everyone so they can see as well. Thank you.
Yes,
Okay.
but you can have that. I'm sorry, I didn't make more.
Looking at your layout, I see that you still only have that one neighbor to the left side of your home, correct?
Well, if you're facing the house, it's to the right. And then behind it's water, to the left of it, it's not buildable. And across the street, I'm really not sure
Right.
what all those restrictions are for that. I don't think it could ever be residential houses or anything like
Correct.
that. I don't know.
Right. I drove in your area, but that neighbor on the side of you have no objection to this, correct?
No, she's fine, and her husband's disabled, but she's fine with everything, yeah.
Right. Okay, no other questions. Do anyone have any questions?
I just have a couple.
Yes, sir.
Last time you were here, there were some code enforcement problems, correct? Is that not correct?
No,
No?
no code enforcement.
You were just kidding.
Wrong one.
That's okay, not a problem. You had
I
me-
remember when you were
had
here
me-
before.
You had me thinking there for a moment, like, what are we going?
That was a trick question.
Thank you, thank you. I don't know if I passed it or not, but thank you.
You always say no.
No, absolutely not, yes.
Thanks, I'm sorry.
All right.
Any other questions?
No. Clear to me.
Okay. I believe now we take it to a vote. Can you step aside? Can I check with the audience? Is there anyone here? Yeah, where's the lady?
So you've got the applicant statement,
Mm-hmm,
board question, starting with,
right.
and after we question him, which we just did.
Now for the audience,
Now
right?
you ask the
Okay.
floor again.
Right. Is there anyone, again, in the audience for or against this applicant? Can you please acknowledge yourselves? I see that there's none. Okay. You can come back to the podium. Can you come back?
Usually it's
You- Right. Do you have anything else you'd like to say to us?
No.
Okay. So I would like to make the motion to approve or disapprove, or any, up for discussion.
Well, we need a motion, but the chair cannot make a motion.
Oh, I'm the chair and I can't make a motion. I'm in District 1 as well,
However-
so this goes to someone
however-
else.
I make a motion that we approve this application as depicted on the survey and the exhibits. Survey dated, whatever it is, I can't read it without.
5/28/24.
5/28/24.
I'll second that.
No, I'll second.
No, I'll second.
Okay. Now, yes, the board discussion.
Any board discussion? None. Now the reading of the 6 hardship questions. One moment. That special conditions and circumstances exist which are not applicable to other land, structures, or building and applicable zoning classification. That the special conditions and circumstances do not result from the actions of the applicant. That granting the variance requested will not confer on the applicant any special privilege that is denied by the provisions of this chapter to other lands, buildings, or structures in the identical zoning classification. That literal enforcement of the provisions of this chapter will deprive the applicant of rights commonly enjoyed by other properties in the identical zoning classification under the provisions of this chapter, and will constitute unnecessary and undue hardship on the applicant. That the variance granted is the minimum variance that will make possible the reasonable use of the land, building, or structure, and that the granting of the variance will be in harmony with the general intent and purpose of this chapter, and that such variance will not be injurious to the area involved or otherwise detrimental to the public welfare. I see that we have a motion on the floor to approve as depicted on the survey. We have a second. May we all vote? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
The motion passed. Thank you. You have a question?
Yeah, I just didn't know that from this point to submit for the, if it's passed, then I can apply for the permit.
You can submit for your permit, but it has 30 days before it will be approved by the zoning department, in case somebody wants to bring it up to court or something.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Thank you. All right, Mr. Bodie, our next applicant is?
Yes, item H2, Anita J. McCalmont, request variance, Chapter 62, Article 6, Brevard County Code as follows. Variance number 1, Section 62-2100.5D, to permit a variance of 604 square feet over the 696 square foot maximum allotment for an accessory structure in an RU-1-9 single-family residential zoning classification, and this is application 24V00048, located at tax account number 2408075 in District 1.
Thank you. Will the applicant please step forward to the podium? Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Please state your name and address for the record, raising your right hand. Do you swear and affirm that the evidence you're about to give to this Board of Adjustments is the truth?
Yes.
Thank you. How may we help you today?
My name is Anita J. McCalmont, and my address is 5228 Highway 520, Cocoa, 32926. And the reason I'm here today is applying for the variance that I was under the impression initially that the footprint of the building was what was calculated in the calculation of 50% or less of my home, which is 1,330 square feet. So the structure was built with those specifications, and because of my understanding that, I wanted more space going up, so I had like a platform, a second floor, built for storage.
Okay.
And so then that was brought to my attention that that calculation should have been included in the structure of the building if I was going to have a second story. But now it's already built, so I am requesting a variance for that extra square footage that's on the second floor.
Okay. Well, I see that you're in District 1. Again, I cover District 1. I'll start off with the questions. So this building that you're referring to, is this a house that you're living in?
No,
Oh.
the house that I'm living in is like 1,330 square feet, and maybe 2 or 3 feet over that. But the building that I had put up is a garage, but it's like a 2-story garage, like storage, and I want to have like a tool bench or a workbench there for projects, and I would like to also be able to store my car in it. It has a roll-up garage door on the front, and it has a person door on the side, which faces my house. So, and it's in the back of the house, and there are other structures around, like my neighbors. None of them have. I've asked them if they had any opposition to this building or my use of it. Nobody has any opposition, and there are similar. Well, maybe not similar, but there are structures. The property behind me, the house burned down many, many years ago. The garage is still remaining. They apparently have a variance. I'm not sure if it's a variance or some other type of permission to live in that structure, which they actually do live in that structure, and it's my understanding that it has a second floor also, and then the property behind that has a very large Quonset hut. And the property in front of me, between myself and 520, is vacant. It's a little over an acre.
Right, but today, for the sake of this variance, for your garage, it's just a 2-story, and you're doing that to store your car and have your
And-
tools on top, correct?
No, the tools would be in the bottom
On the bottom.
with the car, and then upstairs I want to store like lighter things.
Correct.
Furniture,
Right.
maybe a little space to use for exercise equipment, that type of thing.
Okay, I'll open it up to anyone with questions, please.
Yeah, I just have a couple. It says this is a metal building.
It
Is this a prefab or was it actually made? It's on concrete, correct?
Oh, yeah, actually, there was a concrete pad there already, but I had to have another concrete pad put on top of that to raise the elevation, which I did before obviously, they came in with like a big flat pack type trailer with a gooseneck trailer, and they put the building up in 2 days.
And
It's
does
that
this-
type of metal
It
building.
has power and utilities and?
Not
no?
yet.
Not yet?
I just stopped everything until I get past
Oh,
this.
okay.
Yeah,
Okay, thank you, thank you.
sure.
Any questions?
Yeah, I have.
Mm-hmm.
In summary, you looked at the regulations, saw the square footage of your home. It said 50%. you put a footprint up of 50%, and now it's being reinterpreted, not reinterpreted, it's being interpreted to say that the second floor adds the square footage of the floor.
Correct.
All right, but the roof line is the same as it would be if it's one story, so there's no
Correct.
drainage or impervious problems or
That's right.
anything like that. And at this point, you are asking it to legitimize an existing condition.
Right. I
Okay.
mean,
I'm just trying to summarize it, make
Yes.
sure we're
Yes.
talking the same thing. Okay, good.
Okay, any other questions? Anyone? Okay, you may step aside at this time. Do you have a question, you say? Okay. Is there anyone in the audience who would like to speak in favor or opposition to this variance? I see that there's none. Okay, you can come back to the microphone. Do you have any summary statement or anything?
I'm sorry, do I have anyone?
Any last things you would like to say?
No, I just want to be able to get past this and proceed with the next steps, whatever that might be.
Okay. We'll now take it to a vote.
Motion to discuss.
Motion to discuss? Any discussion? I see that there's none. Who would like to?
I will make a motion that we approve this application as depicted on the survey. And again, somebody needs to use their glasses to tell me what date it is.
It is,
Depicted on the survey, I can see it there now, 2/17/23. And, let's see, so I make a motion to approve this application for a variance as depicted on the survey of February 17th, 2023.
I'll second.
Yeah.
okay, we have a motion to approve, and we have a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Your motion, your variance have been granted.
Thank you.
Thank you. I'll now read the 6 hardships.
It's okay,
Right? Okay. Read it.
yeah.
That special conditions and circumstances exist which are not applicable to other land, structures, or buildings in the applicable zoning classification. That the special conditions and circumstances do not result from the actions of the applicant. That granting the variance requested will not confer on the applicant any special privilege that is denied by the provisions of this chapter to other lands, buildings, or structures in the identical zoning classification. That literal enforcement of the provisions of this chapter will deprive the applicant of rights commonly enjoyed by other properties in the identical zoning classification under the provisions of this chapter and will constitute unnecessary and undue hardship on the applicant. That the variance granted is the minimum variance that would make possible the reasonable use of the land, building, or structure. That the granting of the variance will be in harmony with the general intent and purpose of this chapter, and that such use variance will not be injurious to the area involved or otherwise detrimental to the public welfare. We have just made a motion to approve. Your variance have been approved. Thank you. Okay.
That's it.
Mr. Bodie, are there any more on, today?
No, that's it for today.
Okay. Anybody like to make a motion to?
No, you just
Adjourn?
adjourn.
We adjourn. Thank you.
Easy enough.
The opinions expressed by any member of the public during any period of public comment do not necessarily reflect the views or opinions of the Board of County Commissioners of Brevard County, Florida, Space Coast Government Television, or the program sponsor, and are solely those of the presenter. The Board of County Commissioners of Brevard County, Florida, Space Coast Government Television, and the program sponsor hereby expressly disclaim any and all responsibility or liability for any defamatory or slanderous statements expressed by any member of the public during any such period.